Vayeshev. So while the Rebbe explained that the Oyeve Seresecho means the people that love not just the Torah but the Resecho, that is the loving for Hashem, the Noisen HaTorah, the Rebbe asks now in the Hemshech Loshen HaPosik, we say first, B'chol Banaich Limuda Havaye V'Rav Shloim Banoich. So the Rav Shloim Banoich is already earlier in the Pasik before we say Sholem Rov Levi. If it's Rav Shloim, it must mean that they have the Avedis Hatfilah that precedes it, that brings to the Rav Shloim as we touched. So what's the Hemshech and what's the addition of the Pasik? Let's look inside. Chadayin tzarich lahavin. What we still need to understand, however, Masha Posik said that this Posik, Sholem Rov Loevi Seresecho, we just explained that you get the Sholem Rov Loevi Seresecho. We need to understand that it's Bo Behemshech Ubehisof Lamasha Kosov. It comes as a continuation to what the Posik says before. V'chol banayich limudei havaye v'rav shloim banoich. So this is what the Rebbe is asking, basically on the explanation, what the Friedrich Rebbe gave in the Posik, Oyave Seresecho, and that's the level of Rav Sholem. But Emerson in the previous Posik quoted, we also have Rav Sholem. B'chol b'naich limud havai v'Rav Shloim b'noich. The l'chayre gam limud ha-Torah de b'noich. So l'chayre, it seems that the study of Torah, that we say b'chol b'naich limud havai v'geimer, we need to say b'naich ulach Rav Shloim b'noich ulachrei hagdomas haveris hatfila. That must come after there was first the haveris hatfila. Shaharei Kosubem Rav Sholem. It says Rav Sholem. Rav Sholem you get only after you have a Vedis Atfila. Umevur ba'amaymer, the Sholem Rav Sholem hu dafke le'oyavei seira secha. That it's only if you're oyavei seira secha, the Maimer explained, then you get the level of Rav Sholem. She'oyavim es ha'toyre mitzad ze shir teira secha. Though the Maimer explained, those who love the Torah because they love Torah Secha, the Noisen HaTorah, they have the level of Rav Sholem. So since in the previous pasuk Sholem Rav Levi Seresecha, it also said in the pasuk Rav Lemud Hashem v'Rav Shloim Banoich, it's also Rav Sholem. It must mean that it comes after the Avedis Atfilah. The Avazu Hi Ali the Agdomas Avedis Atfilah. How do you get to the level of Oyave Seresecho? You need Avedis Atfilah, Canal Sif Aleph base that bring about the level of Ava. So, if it's already in the previous pasuk, since it's Rav Sholem, we have to say that these Banayich are learning Torah in a way of Oyave Seresecho, because that's where they get Rav Sholem. So what is the addition in the pasuk? Asks the Rebbe. That here we say Sholem Rav Levi Seresecha. That is Sholem Rav Levi Seresecha. What's the addition? Umahi Haisofe B'Sholem Rav Levi Seresecha Al Rav Shloim Banoich. What is the addition when we say Sholem Rav Levi Seresecha over that we learned before Rav Shloim Banoich? The Rebbe is going to explain now the Hine Omr Razal Ala Posig Rav Shloim Banoich. The sages tell us in the Posig Rav Shloim Banoich, Atikra Banoich Elo Boy Noich. Don't pronounce it as your sons, but your builders. Rav Shloim Banoich is the builders. Opirush by Noich. What does it mean by Noich? Who can Mamer Azal? is like our sages tell us, okay, my Razal, my banoyin elu talmidei chachomim she'oiskim elu talmidei chachomim she'oiskim b'minyonei shel olam. These are talmidei chachomim who are occupied in building this world. V'zehu hachiluk sheben beis hapsukim. In the first pasuk, it's talking about v'chol banoich, building. In the second pasuk, it's talking about oyev seresach. We're talking about those who are impacting with the Torah the world, banoich. That's the first pasuk, and the second pasuk is impacting themselves, not impacting the world. This is different two psukim. The pasuk v'rav shloim banoich shemedaber b'inyanat pulos haTorah ba'olam over there. It talks about the impact of the Torah in the world. That which the Talmidei Chachamim build the world through their occupation of Torah. And Gam, so that is the building the world, but also they bring about peace in the world. V'rav shloim banoyim, what means building the world to bringing peace in the world. Gam hakavone b'v'rav shloim banoichi be'iker le'inyan hasholem shenase be'olam. That's mainly to the idea of sholem that takes place in the world. Al yidei eisek haTorah, through the occupation of Torah. ShaTorah nimtna lasis sholem be'olam, because Torah was given to make peace in the world, to build the world and to bring peace in the world. That is the pasuk of Chol Banoich, the Banoim, those who build the world, to impact the world and especially to bring peace to the world. That's the first pasuk of Chol Banoich L'mudei Hashem. The next pasuk, Ubepasuk Sholom Rov Laohvi Seresecha Moisiv. And the pasuk of it adds, Sholom Rov Nimshach Gam LaTalmidei Chachamim Atzmom. That great Sholem extends to the Talmidei Chachamim themselves. The great Sholem that they bring to the world eventually also brings Sholem to the Lemdei HaTorah, the Talmidei Chachamim by themselves. Laohvi Seresecha. V'zehu I. The Rebbe, why does it say Oyavei Seresecha? The first level is also Oyavei Seresecha. That's why you get V'rav Shloim. But over there, it's impacting the world. Here, we're talking about impacting the Talmidei Chachamim themselves. But why does it only say Oyavei Seresecha when we're talking about impacting the Talmidei Chachamim? V'zehu shedavke b'posik zeh. So this is why davke in this posik Omer Oyavei Seresecha says it here. Sha'ava l'Torah hi mitzad noisen haTorah, that the love of Torah is Torah Secha, the one who gives the Torah. She's a nasa idea agdamas avedis atfila, which comes through the introduction first of the avodah of davening. Is kibichdei lahamshich ribu sholem ba'olam. Because in order to bring that great sholem in the world, then you don't need the introduction of avodas hatfilah. You don't need the level of ava. You could impact the sholem in the world, even Rav Shalom, but you don't need that level of ava. But in order to get the Sholom Rov to the Chachamim himself, he must have the Avodas Atfilah. It's only through the Avodas Atfilah that we can. But you're still going to get the Rav Shloim. as the Rebbe said before, that in order to get the Rav Shalom, it has to be Avodas HaTfilah. But the Rebbe says now that to just bring down the Sholem Ba'olam, B'chol Banayir, the Limudei Hashem, we don't need the Oyav Yisrasecha, we don't need Avodas HaTfilah. Let's see what the Rebbe explains. But by bringing in first what's explained in that Mamer Sholom Rov of Tovshin Dalad, which this Mamer is based upon. B'inyan avodas hatzadikim shemekaimim esa'olum shenivra v'asora v'amoros. Over there he discussed the service of the tzadikim, that they sustain the world that has been created with the 10 sayings. V'rav shloim banoich, der banoich mekaimim, they build the world. Shazehu gam kein inyan, this is the same idea of Talmidei Chachomim she'oskim bin yonei shel olam. They are occupied in building the world. That's the 10 mamoris. She'asor mamoris shebahem divra olam mekuvonim keneged aseres hadibros. These 10 sayings, which the Eibishter Vayemer, the 10 saying that the Eibishter created the world, they correspond to the 10 dibros of the Torah, of Aseres HaDibros, and the Talmidei Chachomim that learned the Aseres HaDibros, they occupy themselves in Aseres HaDibros, are occupying in building the world that corresponds to the 10 Aseres HaDibros, the 10 Mamoros. Like we say, Asora Hakaf, B'shekel HaKodesh. So the 10 are corresponding to each other. The 10 Mamoris correspond to the 10 Dibros. They correspond to the Shekel HaKodesh. They correspond to the way it is the 10 Dibros. That's why there's Asora. So what does it mean that the Talmidei Chachomim build the world? They draw down the 10 sayings, because when we say that they bring down the Aseres HaDibros, they bring down Torah, because the Torah is included in the 10 Mamoris. So even that which a studious student is going to renew is also part of the Aseres HaDibros. So when we say that they're building the world by bringing down the Aseres HaDibros, bringing down Torah in general, the Asora, all of Torah is included in the Aseres HaDibros. Even Mashet Talmid Vosik Osud L'Chadish is Nemra L'Moshe Misinai. So it means Torah is being brought down by the Talmidei Chachomim to sustain the worlds. And so they bring down this Basora Mamora Shabem Divrei Ha'olam. So when the world was created, it doesn't have in it the Asora Mamoris. The Talmidei Chachomim, when they build the world, because they bring in the Asora Mamoris, they bring the Aseres HaDibros. Then it means that when the Eibishter created the world by Asora Mamoris, it's not complete. And the Yidden, when they're Oisik B'Torah, the Talmidei Chachomim, they complete the world because they bring down the godliness, the Asora HaDibros in the Asora Mamoris. V'agam shegam b'tchilas habriya olam al miluyei nivra. Also, although that also in the beginning of creation, the world was created complete, full, which means hainu, which means that really you already have godliness in the world Melchatchila, even with the Aseres HaDibros. Hainu, so that is so So through the Asorim Amoris, we do have a revelation of godliness in the world. Hare kavonas habriya, but the purpose of creation is sha'odom al yidei avedosah yamshich toisvus erbayim. There is takel lechatchila milui nivra, but a yid should add through his service additional light in the world. Ba'ad le'oir shel lemaylo mishodesh hanivroim, to such a extent of light, even that is higher from the root of the created creation. So this is higher than Aseres Adibres Nivroim, as higher than Aseres Mamoris, which is the Shodesh of the Nivroim. We want to bring down a higher light into the world from the Shodesh of Torah. That can only come through Torah Aseres Adibres. So while Olam Amiluye Nivro, and we have Gilui Elokus, but we need to add to that Gilui Elokus, and add such a great Gilui Elokus, which is entirely higher than the root of the Nivroim, and that comes through the Torah Aseres Adibres Davke. Zahu Tamid Chachomim Mamer Sholom Rov. And this is what we say here, that the Chachomim increase Shalom in the world. It's not they bring Shalom to the world, meaning that the world has already Shalom, Amaluya Nivra. They have godliness in the world, but they increase, they bring higher, more godliness. Marbim Dafke, Shalom Ba'olam, Shenasa Alidea Tamid Chachomim. When we talk about Shalom that becomes through Tamid Chachomim, we're not talking about to negate undesirable matters, which is against, opposite of Sholem, Shenasa de Chatoy. That becomes through the Chatoy. Hainu, that is the Sholem that they bring is not just to make up for some chesorim. So the olam, let's say, was miluya nivra, and then you didn't ruin it by doing averis, and then we have the Talmid Chachomim fixing it. No, they add more than olam and miluya nivra. Eloy actually listen, you built to the tzui. Hey bechasholim shenasel de'achatoyim. If there is sin, so then there is negative, and the Talmid Chacham come to fix that. And that is, so the world should still be in its full, like it was the beginning of creation. Beginning of creation, the world is complete, and the people ruined it. And the kavone is to bring it back through the Talmid Chachomim, bring back the olam to its previous state. No, it's more than that. Ba'ad shemitzad goydel ha'ilu shalahem ma shehem bonayich limudei havaya that to fix the chatoim, the mistakes, to bring it back, that doesn't require no special avodah, no special of a service. That's kichet vehelem the olam shenase al yidei hachet eino etzlo. That sin or the obscurity of the world that takes place to the sin, that's not by them. Legabom, that doesn't affect them. They don't see no negative in the world because of the chatoim, because Talmidei Chachomim are above it. It doesn't exist by them. They see the world as it was complete, as it was before the sin. So that's not the sholom that they're doing, is to take away by them just being, there is no chatoim relative to them because of their level. What we're talking about, Talmidei Chachamim, Marbim Sholom Ba'ilom. What is the Sholom? Shemarbim Sholom Ba'ilom. They increase Sholom. We say, V'rav Shloim Banoich. A lot of Sholom Banoich. Bedugmas Ribui HaSholem Sheyil Osilovi. That means that is increase and lots of peace that's going to be in the future to come. That's what they do. That's what the Talmidei Chacham do. Lefi shal yidei eisek haTorah shelahem, because through their occupation in Torah, mamshichim me'asmus ein sof l'mayla m'shoyresh ha'olamus. They bring down from the level of atzmus ein sof, which is higher than the root of world. So you have the world, olam al milu'ei nivra, the world, but the Talmidei Chachamim, they bring down into the world through the Asora Mamoris, through the Aseres Adibris, not Aseres Adibris, through Torah, bring down the level of Atzmus in Sof, which is high Shoshomis. That is how they complete the Eibishter's intention that the Eibishter wanted to have a dwelling place over here in this low world. So the Marbim Sholem Ba'ilam, what the Talmidei Chachamim do, they are mamshich from the level of Atzmus into the world. It's not that the Talmidei Chachamim are fixing a problem that was created through Chatoyim, but rather to bring down a much higher level, not in the level of Shoyresh HaOlamos, higher than Shoyresh HaOlamos, all the ways to the level of Atzmus to bring it down. So to bring down Loyis Barich for Hashem, for Atzmus Adiri B'Tachtoin. As the Rebbe will continue to explain. Zayin. Obira Inyan, the Marbim Sholem Ba'olam Ba'emek Yosef, to understand the idea, this increase in Sholem deeper. Yuvan Mimashikosu Ba Mamer will understand this from what the Mamer writes in that Mamer. The Kiyum Ha'olam Hu Alidei Shemamshichim B'Hasora Mamoris Shobehem Nivra Ha'olam Es Haseres Adibris. That how do these Talmidei Chachamim stay in the world? By drawing down from the Asora Mamoris into the Asora Mamoris, they bring down in which the world was created, the Haseres Adibris. They bring down into creation, they bring down the 10 Commandments higher. The Yesh Loimar, we can say, the Kavanosi Bazesh Madgish Haseres Adibris Davka. Why does he say that you bring him down in the 10 the 10 sayings? Shenitnu Matan Torah. Those are given. Why doesn't he say that Matan Torah sustains the world? But he says the 10 Divrei sustain the world. Shekiyum ha'olam hu al yidei ha'avoda the Torah mitzvahs. The world is sustained by the fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs shela'achrei Matan Torah davke, which is davke later on after Matan Torah, not at the time of Matan Torah. He says madgish that he says that it's a dibras davke that the sustaining of the world of Matan Torah shall yidei. There was Torah before. He wants to say, when he says Aseret Adibris, he's basically recounting Matan Torah to say that this only is at the time of Matan Torah, but not before Matan Torah, not in the time of the Ovis. That is what you're mamshich into the world. Because the power of the mitzvahs, Torah mitzvahs that come by Matan Torah is much more powerful than the mitzvahs that were done before Matan Torah. That's why he says Matan Torah, that's why he says Seres HaDibros, which were given at Matan Torah. That it's only after Matan Torah when the Torah was given, not before. Even though that also through the service of the forefathers. The Ovis wore the Merkava. There was an additional light extended into the world, which was higher than the Oir of the 10 Mamoris. So, to get a greater light, the Chlal, also the Ovis did that. But Mekol Mokaim, since the work, the service of the Ovis was on their own, they weren't commanded to do the mitzvahs, it was on their own. So the light, the illumination that comes through their avodah, that they bring down into the world, is not Seres HaDibros, it's not Matan Torah. It is only a light of the root of Nivroim, because they're not commanded for them, so they don't have the power of the Ein Sof. Lochein hoish nimshachal dosen bechlos rak bebegin sheirish hanivroim. So they can only be sheiros in Nivroim, as the Rebbe brings down, ki yidua, hayichoch al ze mimayon ein itam. That's the highest place over there by the Beis Hamikdash, and the Gemara makes the cheshbon, the height, and it turns out over there that can only reach their own height and not go any higher. So, because it was limited by the koyach of the Nivroim, ve'ein ze be'erech klal lehahamshoch al yidei hakiyum adekim hamitzvah shlach le'matan Torah. It is no comparison at all the hamshocha that we get through the mitzvahs after Matan Torah. So therefore, it is dafke asora adibris from Matan Torah that is nimshach in the world. The Rebbe says even more than this. Shagam avodas Adam Harishon, even the work, the service of Adam Harishon, ukemoy shoy began Eden, as it was in Began Eden, va'necheyu began Eden laohvi l'shamra. We placed him in Began Eden to work it and to guard it. V'nei achet shehinailis yoser ma'avodas Ovis, which is even on a higher level of the Ovis. So even Adam Harishon, and he was with Neachet, as he was in Gan Eden, and it was even on a greater level than David of the Office. And therefore, the light that he brought down through the service of Adam Harishon is an uncomparable addition to the way the world is on its own. To the extent that we can say that the avodah of Adam Harishon, that the avodah of Adam Harishon is similar to the hamshocha that we have through the mitzvahs of after Matan Torah. As our sages tell us, that what does it mean the Eibush to put him in laohvi l'shamra, laohvi elu ramach mitzvah, to work. Adam Harishon was supposed to work it through the 248 positive mitzvahs. Ulishamra elusha samitzvos loises, that to keep it is the 365 prohibition. She'avoida the Odom Arishim began Eden of the Lishamra, that this avoida of Odom Arishim began Eden, to work it and to keep it, dugmas rachmach mitzvahs asay v'shasa mitzvahs loisas shalachrim matan Torah. So similar to the 248 positive mitzvahs and the 365 prohibition that come after matan Torah. So this brings it to a very high level, and yet it's a seres hadibris tafkir. Why? Gam am shochad de'avedus on Marish Began Eden. Hoysa Raka was only a shine. Mikif Masham Matan Torah. Hoysa Gzeira El Yonim LeYartul Et Matove Tachtein LeYad LeMailo. Up to Matan Torah, there was a decree, there was a split, there was a block. You couldn't have the upper coming down below, and the ones below cannot go up above. You can't bring down, even the avodah of Odom Harishon cannot bring down the El Yonim into the Torah. As opposed to what's extended through Torah mitzvahs that come after Matan Torah. Then the Gzeira is bottled. Now we're talking about bringing down Atzmus, which is much higher than even what Odom Harishon could bring down. So this you make inyan. The Marbim Sholom Ba'ilom. So what kind of level of Sholom are we talking about over here? Daribu Sholom Ba'ilom, when we say that there's more Sholom. First, the Rebbe talked previously about negating, that we're not even talking about negating the sin. But even in bringing the Sholom, we're talking about the highest level. Daribu Sholom Ba'ilom, Orayli Rakshanim Shem Ba'agilu Doirin Sof Shalomayla Meshoyde Sholomas. It's not only that there extends the revelation of Eresov is higher than the root of Elam, but more than this, that in the world comes the level of Atzmus, the ultimate wholesomeness, that happens only through Aveda Torah mitzvahs. That happens through Aseres Hadibris at Matan Torah, but nothing before that can bring down the Dirila Atzmusai, which is the Kavon of the Dir B'Tachtoin.